Hello, I'm Emmeline.
And I'm Kindy.
And welcome to Stuff with Moms, a podcast about shows, stories, and enjoying life.
So, Emmeline, how was your month? What have you been up to?
All right. Well, the last couple weeks I've been working on my windows. So, as promised, I will tell our listeners all about the things I learned about painting stained glass. So it isn't actual stained glass. It's paint that you can buy that mimics stained glass. And so what I did is we have these 4 windows on the side of our house that don't open or close. They're they're like squares almost. They're pretty big, probably like...
Wait, where are they at?
On the side of the house. One side of our house.
Are they on one side?
Yeah.
That is weird.
Yeah, they're just in like the living room and then our board game room.
Okay.
And they're littler. They're like 1.5 feet by 1.5 feet. Or 2 feet by 2 feet is better.
Are they above windows? Or
yeah, they're kind of higher windows. So they aren't like super big.
More like decor type.
Yeah, they're kind of decor type windows. Anyway. Okay. So I was like, what am I always I've loved stained glass forever. So I was like, I'm going to turn those into stained glass windows. And I priced out stained glass, and I have a friend in Provo that does stained glass. And so I was thinking about asking her, and I was like, you know what? I love learning new things. So I'm going to try my hand at stained glass. And I realized I didn't actually want to work with glass. So I found this option that's like paint, and you just paint it. So what I did is I got the measurement of my window and got like a big scrap piece of paper. Well, it's a bunch of pieces of paper taped together. That's the size of the window. And then I drew my design on it. And because they're all on the same side of the house, I decided I was going to do the same design in each window, just change up the colors. And I bought a couple of different kinds of paint and experimented with those. And I didn't like... The one I liked is called Gallery Glass, and you can buy it on Amazon, and it's actually cheaper on Amazon than it is on
their website.
On their website. So if you're looking to do it, it was really fun though. So I drew out my sketch. Then what I did is I was like, well, I can tape my sketch outside on the outside of the house, but it rains a lot here. While I, do that thing, I can pick a sunny day and just do it. Because the nice thing about this stuff is you can put it directly on the window. And if you don't like it, you can peel it off. Like it peels off. And
the paint?
The paint. It peels off. And it has the texture of when you peel it off, it has the texture of a fruit roll-up.
Oh, dang. Okay.
It actually made me want fruit roll-ups when I peeled it off.
You're like,
it's really pretty. I'll put a picture on our Facebook page.
It's gorgeous.
So people
She
can
sent me a
see
text before we got on, and it is really cool.
So what I decided to do instead was I just bought plexiglass and cut it to the size of my windows, and then drew it inside and then put the plexiglass into the window.
Okay. So is the plexiglass like taped or glued to the window? Or
no, because I cut it exactly to the size. It fits in snug and stays in.
Sweet.
Yeah. So that worked out really nice. The paint works really good and looks authentic, but they have some suggestions of how to do it, or I've seen YouTube videos or something to like paint it on, or you can use your finger to make like the stained glass look. But what I found worked best was to just put the paint on thicker and then use the tip of the bottle to kind of make swirls in that paint
section of the color you want.
Yes, exactly.
Oh,
and so it
okay.
kind of made the wavy, bumpity look that stained glass has.
Ah,
Yeah.
Smart.
Initially, I thought I had to do the leading that goes in between the colors with like, I was like, what am I going to use? And so I made black Elmer's glue, which is just like acrylic paint black.
Yeah.
Put in with Elmer's glue, and I used that to make my leading.
Okay.
But then they sent leading with the colors I ordered, and I didn't realize that was the thing.
Yeah.
The black Elmer's glue faded after a few days.
Oh, no.
And so I was like, huh. And I don't know if, like, it's because I didn't put enough black into my Elmer's glue or because it was in the sunshine. Anyway, so it kind of was turning white. And so I ended up, my initial first one, I ended up just scrapping because I did some experimentation. And anyway, I was looking at it and I was like, I can't stand that one. It's going to drive me crazy all the time. So I ended up redoing it. But it ended up being a really fun project for me. And I had a good time, like, coming up with the design and experimenting with the different colors and this new, medium. And it was just a lot of fun. And, on top of all the other crazy stuff we've been doing, that was one of the things that I did this month. Okay, so how was your month?
That is awesome. That is awesome.
Oh, and if you guys have questions about that, you can shoot us an email. Oh, and I did find that when I was doing the leading, my hand would kind of stick to the plexiglass. And I'm sure this is the same with like regular glass because your hands kind of don't slide very well. So I got one of those fitted gloves and used that while I squeezed the leading on.
Smart.
So it worked out really well. So there's a little hack for you.
That's awesome. I love that. That is so cool.
How was your month?
It was, oh man, I'm still tired from everything I've been doing. So at one point during the month, we went to Oregon and saw my little sister Kelsey and her cute family, and that was fun. Oh my gosh. She's got 5 kids and they're all awesome, and like they each have their own personalities, which is super fun to kind of see how they kind of grow into themselves. And her 2 youngest are both Matt and I kind of got a kick out of watching them interact with everybody. Like her second to youngest she just has a personality of her own. I mean, all of them do, but it's like, I don't know, she just really stands out in like, she almost just doesn't care about anyone's opinion. She just wants to do her own thing, and she is her own person, and it's really fun to watch. And and then her youngest, Matt, enjoyed watching like his sad face because he's the youngest. So anytime someone's playing with a toy, he wants it and he wants to play with it. So he'll go and he'll take toys. And he did it a couple times, and so Matt would kind of help out and like take the toy back and be like, no, it's, they were playing with it, kind of a thing. And he just got the saddest look on his face, and he screamed, like he would scream, cry. And like, oh my gosh, it was so loud. But so Matt got a kick out of his sad face. And oh, it was so fun to just hang out with all of them. And her oldest loves to read, and so she loves spending time by herself and reading. And then her second oldest, she loves her gymnastics, and so anytime we'd be like waiting to do something, or she'd kind of do little like gymnastic moves and stuff. So that was cute. Fun to watch. Yeah. And then her middle kiddo would just kind of I think she's trying to find herself. She's at the age where I think because she's 11. Was she 11? Yeah. And the middle kid. So she's kind of like trying to, find her way in life. So she's kind of doesn't know what she wants to do yet, but she's fun. She was super loud when she was little. She's kind of calmed down a little bit, but when she was born, they told me a story that is adorable where Josh went up to the pulpit at church, and as he was coming back, she yells really loud, "Hi, Dad!"
That's cute.
Or it was "Where's Dad going?" when he was like walking up to it. I can't remember which one, but either way, it was very loud in a quiet place, so she had to be loud to kind of be heard against her two older siblings, and then Blair is their
youngest,
fourth, and then they have a boy.
Oh, second to youngest
is their second to youngest, and then their boy is the youngest. And I mean, their family is so cute. So anyway, it was so fun to go to their house and to hang out, because they always come to Utah. They come to Utah like every year at just different times and come to see family and stuff, which I think is great. But so we went out to them, and that was super fun. The drive was hard. Little Emmeline she's like right at that age where movies or videos like don't hold her attention. And then I think just being pinned to one spot for so long, she wouldn't play with anything for more than like a minute or two. And so the way back was much worse. She just was done. She was done. So and then on the way back, though, she had a poop explosion. So we had to deal with that. And
oh, no.
Had to get a whole new car seat, because she just, by the time we had pulled over to take care of it, she was playing with it in her hand. And
no.
It got on her bib and got on her shirt. And so, I mean, yeah.
That's so gross.
It is. It's so gross. So it got everywhere. Made a good addition of like 45 minutes to our trip. Oh man. And then I've had the last 2 weeks off, and so we've just been playing, and it's the 4th of July, so we did fireworks and playing. And while we were in Oregon, we did fireworks, and we did the loud ones, and Emmeline did not like those. She's not a fan of those ones, which I don't blame her. They're loud.
Kyle sits with his ears plugged.
Yeah, I don't blame him. They are loud. I had to do that, I think, on the last one that we did yesterday, because
you sound like an old person.
Right? I know. Which is weird.
That's just too dang loud.
There was somebody, I think, a street behind us that I think they had like commercial fireworks, because there was a loud boom, and then it would go off up in the air, and it was loud. I was like, oh my gosh, can you guys be done with yours soon? Because it's those ones where you set it off and the car alarms go off.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was one of those. So
super loud.
It's super duper loud. Super duper loud. I watched that, actually. I watched She's the Man. Still a good movie. Like, it didn't age badly. It was still good.
I haven't seen that one for a while.
It might have been a mood too, right?
Yeah. Sometimes you're just in the mood for those.
Something silly. Yeah. But so just been hanging out with the kids, and Emmeline had her birthday, and it was so uneventful. And we had her at daycare, and me and Matt took Anders to the pool.
Happy birthday, you gonna stay at daycare.
Right? Wouldn't have known the difference, but I kind of felt bad. But I think it was good for Anders. He needed some mom and dad time, and so why we didn't do it a different day, I don't know. Because Matt didn't have work. It just worked out that way. But And then we just got cake for her, and she didn't even want it. So it was just happy birthday to you. Next year we'll have to do something, because I totally forgot. Practically, I was like, "Oh yeah, it's your birthday! Happy birthday!"
Sorry we abandoned you at daycare.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. Thankfully, it's her 3rd year of life, so she's still like, I don't know what's happening, but she did love being sang to, and there was a birthday card I read to her, and she loved that. She'd snuggle in every time I said happy birthday, Emmeline, which on that card I said it about 8 times, I think. There's like 8 teachers at the daycare, so she loved that. But yeah, so I'm a lame parent, I know, but this is the only year I could probably get away with it.
Yep.
So it's the last year I can, because even if we tried next year, like I wouldn't do this again. I think we'd probably actually plan to do something. But I mean, we always go swimming. We always and that's what we would do for her birthday. So it's like, here's your special day. The only special thing is like presents and cake. And she already has tons of toys. So it's like, we're not buying you another present. So you don't get that. But so we're done with early intervention. And one of her, Mary, shout out to Mary Walker. She doesn't listen to this, but she's been awesome, and she brought Emmeline a present to like kind of say goodbye, but she's like, but it's not goodbye, because we'll probably see her one more time. But she was really sad, and it was kind of sad, but she brought her a present, and so I was like, this works out. Happy birthday, Emmeline. Open up one present. I should just wrap one of her like toys just so she could unwrap it. But
yeah.
Anyway, so she had a really lame birthday, but she won't for next year. So
I think everybody can say they've had one really lame birthday.
Yeah. Next year, I don't know if we'll do like a class party or just like a family thing and invite like my family or Matt's family to hang out and have cake and ice cream or something. I don't know, but
that sounds nice.
Anyway, yeah. So that's what we did.
Yay!
So I have the word of the month.
Yes.
And I picked insuperable.
Okay. Man, I have no idea what that means. Insuperable.
I've never heard it before.
When something is growing in size, it's insuperable.
Is that your final answer?
Yes.
Okay. No. It's basically another word almost for impossible. It is something impossible to gain control of, solve, or overcome.
Okay. Cool.
But the sentence that they said, it's almost like you could just replace impossible. So it's not the same, but the sentence that they said is like, that's just say impossible. Like, why say insuperable? But anyway.
Mission insuperable.
Dun, exactly.
Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah.
All right. We wanted to talk about stuff that we brought into the marriage or received as gifts. And when we thought it would be a good time to finally say goodbye to that stuff. and what do you do to replace that stuff if it's like stuff you need in order to function? Because you get like towels and dishes and, kitchen gadgets. And some of those you need to replace. So you have a few things. So what things did you say? What things did you get rid of, Kindy?
So me and Matt brought a hodgepodge of dishes together. So because we lived, on our own before we got married. And so he brought like a set of black dishes. And then I brought in a set of like very colorful, feminine type dishes with like flowers and floral things on them. And we've been using them for years. And just recently, I actually decided to buy, I can't remember the name brand. Yeah, Corel dishes.
They're
And
the best.
oh man, they're so lightweight, which is I'm a huge fan of more recently because my wrist is starting to hurt more. So I don't want to be carrying around so many heavy dishes. Anyway, dumbest excuse ever, but that's what I did. And technically, I haven't gotten rid of them. I just like shove them in a corner that we don't ever touch in our kitchen. There's like this space, and I want to do like those pull-out tray things that they have because it is right next. So we have a door, a cabinet right next to our dishwasher, and there's just empty space right there. And so that's where I've hidden them.
Okay.
So yeah. So I technically haven't gotten rid of them, and I basically just bought more dishes. Matt has really brought in a lot. He brought in the bed to our marriage and dressers. I think I brought one because somebody was like, "Hey, I'm getting rid of this. Do you want it?" I was like, "Yes," because I don't have one. And like we did a yard sale, and I remember him pulling out a bunch of stuff to get rid of. I was like, "Dang." He definitely had a lot more stuff. I mean, he was older and lived on his own a lot longer than myself, but he definitely was the one that brought in a lot of stuff. What about you guys?
Well, the thing that came to mind, because, obviously there's stuff there, but the thing that came to mind for me is one of the gifts we received when we got married was actually a pretty thoughtful gift, but I didn't even wait a month before I got rid of it.
Yeah.
Because the person that got it for us knew I loved s'mores, right? I love s'mores. Okay. They're great. Yeah. A sentiment that I share with some of my siblings, apparently. We are lovers of s'mores.
Yeah.
But they got me like it was like a Bunsen burner and like little roasting sticks. And like a little like build it yourself container to hold like the crackers and the chocolate. And it was just like so specific of a appliance. Mm-hmm. And I love s'mores, but I like them out on a fire made of wood.
Kind of, yeah.
And otherwise, I want indoor s'mores, which is like golden grahams and melted chocolate that you do on the stovetop mixed together, which I've made for you a couple times. I don't know if you remember them, but they're my favorite.
I don't, sadly.
Because I made them all the time when we lived together. That's what I like about s'mores is the indoor ones. Anyway, they got us this like s'mores specific building kit. And I was like, I turned to Kyle, I was like, I am never going to use this. And so we went around from like store to store to store to store. Nobody sold this thing. And this was, pre being able to search up stuff really easy online. I mean, you could still search up stuff online, but you had to know where to look.
Yeah.
It wasn't as easy to access information. It was out there, but it just didn't pop up when you type something in like it does now. Now you type in something and you're like, I'm not looking for any of this.
Yeah.
You get too much information. So we ended up just donating it to, the thrift store, the DIN.
Yeah.
It was a thoughtful gift, though. I do pat myself on the back for not, keeping it and hauling it around everywhere when we weren't going to use it.
Right. That's hilarious. So my pat on the back is Matt brought in to our marriage a poster of a Seinfeld poster, and it's one it's about the episode where Kramer gets somebody does a self-portrait, paints a self-portrait of him, and it's in like this really old suit kind of get up, and it's just of Kramer with this big giant hair. And so it's a poster of that. And instead of tossing it out, like I think not assuming most women would do, but like if you want a specific decor, you would not be putting this out in the living room for everyone to see. But that's what I did. I actually found a really nice frame for it, because I think it was when Bluehost was closing down and there was just a frame and it was the perfect size. And so I framed it and I hung it up in our living room. And it actually right now in our house, so it's not in our living. So when we were living in the basement, it is in the entryway. It is the first thing you see when you open the door is Kramer.
And you guys, when Kindy says she got a frame from her work, it is a nice frame. Like, it looks legit old. Like, it matches the look he was going for in his portrait. Like, it fits so well. Like, that was top-notch done. Yeah, it's great. I love that picture.
I do too. And I'm not like a huge fan of Seinfeld either. Like, I enjoy it, and I'm happy that my husband loves it, but I can't watch too many episodes of it at once because George stresses me out. Like, his intensity for negativity and his stress stresses me out. So unfortunately I can't like sit and watch a ton of seasons. I just a few episodes and then I'm okay for a while, and then a few episodes. So yeah, there's still some I probably haven't seen, but yeah.
Oh, that reminds me, while I was doing the windows, I decided I'd pop on a show in the background when it was late at night. And I was like, what show have I never seen before that's on Netflix? Because right now we're streaming Netflix. We kind of take turns with our streaming services.
Smart.
And so right now we're on Netflix. And so I was searching through and I found that they had Gilmore Girls. And I'm like, I remember when people talked about that show here and there. But I decided I'd try it out. And there's a character in it. No, there's like 5 characters in it that stress me out. Like, I hate them.
Oh, really?
Oh, they're so obnoxious. I won't get into it now.
Which one?
Oh, okay. You want to know?
Yeah, I do.
So Lorelai, the main like mom, her mom, Emily, the dude that like runs the town.
The mayor.
No, he's not the mayor. He's like the city councilman or something.
Oh, that's right. I can't remember his name.
He bugs me so much that I've had a couple of nightmares of him.
Oh, no way. That's hilarious.
Oh, he drives me crazy. Then, sometimes Rory bothers me a lot.
Oh, yeah.
And so I'm like, why am I like, and at first, like the first season was really like, yeah, there were people that bother me here and there in it. But like the second season, I'm like, man, I'm really starting to get annoyed by these. They've like increased their annoyingness. But
so
what was funny is Clark came down one time and he was like, he ran in from the other room. He's like, oh, are you watching? Oh, because I turned on Smallville. He's like, oh, yeah. This isn't Gilmore Girls. And I was like,
he likes Gilmore Girls?
And I was like, why do you like Gilmore Girls? And he's like, it reminds me of Grandma's house. And I was like, which grandma?
Yeah.
And he's like, because Rory goes and visits her grandma. And I think that's nice. And I'm like, oh, okay. So he doesn't like love Gilmore Girls, the show itself. It's like it helps him reminisce of his happy times, I guess. So,
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's cute.
but he was
That's
disappointed because he
That
wanted to
you weren't
watch
watching it.
Gilmore Girls with me.
You're like, oh, kid. It's funny to me how there's things that, for the most part, we have similar likes. But every once in a while, there's a few things that we just don't we don't sync up with, and this is one of them because I love Gilmore Girls.
Oh, you do?
I do. I love them, and my favorite character is Suki.
Oh, I love Suki.
She is my
Melissa McCarthy plays Suki, and she's the best. Her and Kirk.
Kirk is hilarious.
I love him. I love Luke.
Yep. They did good with him.
I love Dean. He's great.
I don't like Rory with Dean. Like,
I don't like them together, but like he's a good boyfriend. Like, he's so nice.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, there's just like there's characters that I love that I keep going back for, even though there's the ones that drive me crazy. The ones I love
It's not so hard.
are in there enough that I'm like, okay, I'll keep watching it. So I agree. Like, the show itself's fun and I enjoy it, but there's some characters that I'm just like, oh, shut up.
It's funny that
shut
the
up
main
right now.
character, the main characters annoy you. Like, like Lorelai and Rory, they're in most of the scenes.
Most of the time I like Rory. Lorelai, sometimes she just like talks and talks and talks. And I know it's like a defense mechanism for her, but sometimes I'm like, just shut up, or don't make a joke about that, or like that was inappropriate. I think I'm too old. I think if I watched it when I was a teenager, I wouldn't be so annoyed by her because I'm just like, that was inappropriate. Mm-hmm. You're acting like a child. You're so self-absorbed. Like, so self-absorbed. Oh, man. All about her.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So that's that.
We got on a long tangent.
Yes, we did.
We are going to talk about Smallville now. I know you're shocked. So our main segment is going to be about Smallville. We're talking season 2, episodes 5 through 8.
Don't sound so thrilled, Kindy.
Do I sound unthrilled?
We're talking about Smallville again.
Again. It's actually growing on me. Because I was like, I'm gonna get ahead. Because I watched it last week when I had time off to get ready for our trip.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, I'll get ahead and start watching the other one. But I kept actually watching it instead of getting ready. So I was like, this is slowing me down. I'm going to have to wait. So, yeah, my bad. I didn't mean to sound so sad about it. But okay. So episode 5, what did you call it?
Okay, I called it Byron the Poet.
It's called Nocturne?
Nocturne.
Yeah. I called it Jekyll and Hyde.
Oh, there you go. It could be that.
There's a reference.
There is a reference to it. Yeah.
Yeah. But
okay, so in this episode, I'm going to try and give the quickest summaries ever because I think the long-winded summaries aren't doing anybody any favors. Okay.
Probably not.
So Lana has a guy that's been writing her poems and leaving them in the graveyard. When she goes and visits her parents, she finds poetry left for her. And this kid's stuck in his basement.
Surprise, surprise. Someone's obsessed with Lana. Shocker.
A kid's stuck in his basement. They try to rescue him. And
because what happens, when he gets, so he was antisocial. His parents wanted him more normal, which I think that's normal. And they did this experiment on him, which turned out to be it turned him into this monster when he's in the sun.
Yes.
When he's out of the sun, he's fine. When he's in the sun, he turns into this angry, super strong beast type
Yes.
dude.
That's a good summary of it-ish.
Yep, that works.
There's other characters and there's other things going on. Not important.
Yeah.
So, how do you feel about poetry, Kindy?
Okay, so I have mixed feelings about poetry. Most of the time, it sounds like hot nonsense. None of it made sense to me until I watched In Her Shoes, and there's a part where one of the sisters is working at a nursing home, and she can't read very well.
Mm-hmm.
She just sucks at it. She never really learned. I don't know how she graduated from high school. Maybe she didn't. I missed that part of the movie. Anyway, so she starts with this old guy who's blind and can't see. He wants her to read to him, and it's poetry. And so she starts and is super embarrassed. Anyway, get to the point where he is starting to explain it to her, and he like goes line by line. And so I was like, okay, I just need to use that because I never understood it. It was always hot nonsense to me. And so I started to apply that, and it makes more sense, but I haven't like sought it out to like keep testing it to where it's like you just understand one line at a time or one like paragraph or whatever at a time. So
Right.
It does nothing for me, basically. It's just
You're the Clark in this situation. Clark
Yep,
was
I'm
like,
Clark.
poetry's weird. But
Yep.
then he found out Lana liked it, and he was like, oh, I need to learn poetry.
Yeah. I need to see if I can get my hands on some poetry.
See,
Yeah.
I love poetry, but I'm all about the stuff that means what it says. So, like Dr.
Yep.
Seuss poetry. And
Yeah, I do love things that rhyme,
so
but
do
I don't think that's poetry.
It is.
To me,
It's
is
a
it?
form of
Okay.
poetry. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I guess I like the kid poetry. I
Yep,
don't
me
like
too.
the adult poetry.
Yeah, me either. But like Lex
Okay.
says, it's all about seduction.
Yeah, I guess. It takes it out. So what was your reaction when Byron started busting out poems to Lana right in front of Clark?
He's socially awkward, which we find out to begin with. So I was like, yeah, a weird guy would do that.
Yeah.
And she reacted well. Like, instead of like, what is going on? She was like, that was lovely, which I think is really nice. Like, that was a nice thing that Lana did to this awkward kid that
So
thought
awkward.
she was beautiful. So,
Okay, now if they're by themselves and he starts spitting out poetry, what do you think?
that would be romantic.
Yeah.
Because it takes a lot to like memorize stuff like that. Like, that is.
So you would love it if Kyle started to memorize poems and just start spouting them out at you, to you.
He would never. So it's hard for me to like.
Imagine.
Yeah. If he did, I think I'd swoon. I totally would. But I'd be
Yeah.
like, now tell me what that means, because I didn't get it. You love me, right? Okay.
Yeah. I think for me, I would start laughing. I would much prefer
Music is
Matt to
poetry,
learn
though.
a foreign language. Yeah, but he doesn't sing to me either.
Oh, if Kyle sang to me, Kyle sings to me sometimes. Or he's
Yeah.
singing and I'm in the room and I'm like, keep going. It's like you're singing to my soul.
Yeah. It's so funny because as much as I'd like romance in my life, I think I'm more practical and I would just start laughing. I think because I wouldn't be used to it. Because actually, when we started dating, he was super sweet. Like, Matt was really sweet and would tell me all these sweet things. And the first time I laughed. And then
Aw.
the more he did it, well, thankfully he kept doing it. And so I would just smile and say thank you because I'm like, this is so weird. Because I wasn't used to it.
Uh-huh.
So he doesn't do it so much anymore. Now it's mostly like, we'll look into each other's eyes and I'll
Ooh.
smile and say, I'm so happy that you're my husband. And he'll say, I'm so happy you're my wife. And
Cute.
So it's more like random like that, where it's not as, we've been married for so long. We're not newlyweds anymore. And although it did last for a while. Anyway, he apologizes sometimes. He's like, I'm sorry, I'm not he used to at the beginning. He's like, I'm sorry, I'm not more romantic. I'm like, it's okay. I don't think I could handle it. I think I'd be like, wait, what's happening? What'd you do? But it's fun to fantasize every once in a while. But I think in real life, like for me, I'm okay. If it was something he naturally did as we were dating, I'd be like, okay, this is what
he
to
did.
expect, Yeah, but not like just busting out with poems. I think that would weird me out. Yeah. Like, you don't have to do that. I think that would be just
I don't know if that's a thing in real life. Listeners, right? If you know of somebody that just busts out with poetry sometimes, tell us, because I don't think those people exist.
Yeah, probably not. It's probably like more of a romantic setting that they like, let's have a romantic dinner, and then they start saying poetic things. I don't know. But even then, I just, because I don't understand. Like, quote me Dr. Seuss. That would be great.
Or a song. Like, I like the songs.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, the songs are better.
Did you ever have a secret admirer or get love notes?
I did, actually. Ooh. So when we were in elementary, I think it was elementary school. So I was young. I'm actually surprised I remember this. But I didn't know until there was like a secret Valentine's thing or something. I can't remember. And where you'd exchange like gifts or something. And I got this really pretty necklace from this kid, and I was really surprised. Looking back, it's like, yeah, he definitely liked me. I don't know how much, because I mean, we're in elementary school, so it was probably like, hey, let's be friends and play together. It's like, okay. But I don't know if that counts, but I think that's the only time I had a secret admirer. Because if you find out, like, is it a secret admirer still? I guess it is, because you got to know.
Yeah.
But what about you?
There was a time that I found a stuffed animal for me.
Uh-huh.
And by power of deduction, I figured out who it was from, and I was like, oh, I got to stop this now.
Uh-oh. Wasn't reciprocated?
He was a really good guy, but I was just not interested. So,
no.
Anyway, so I just kind of flat out, blunt, probably not as nicely as I tried to be nice about it, but I was just like, it's hard when you put your heart on the line and you're like, I like you. And then somebody's like, squish your heart. So I was, I was trying to be mindful of that, but I also didn't want to like lead him on, because this was a gift and he spent money on it, and we were in high school and you don't have tons of money. So I was just like, thank you, but let's just be friends.
Yeah. Thanks for the thought, but
I hated saying that. Oh, it was the worst.
I bet. Well, and it's interesting because on your question, you said secret admirer or get love notes. And during our time of high school, we sent notes to each other. We didn't have phones to text.
Oh, yeah.
So in between class, we'd hand somebody a note that we wrote in the class before so that they could read it in their next class. It could be a friend or whatever. So it's almost like we always did love notes.
Yep, all the time. I had boyfriends, quote unquote boyfriends,
right?
That we'd pass notes to each other, and that's all we did, boyfriend, girlfriend wise, was pass each other love notes. Like that was it.
But you were
like, we were
girlfriend.
Dating, and we didn't even like sit next to each other or hold hands. No. We just gave each other love notes. And what was funny is I like saved, I had a box full of notes that I'd kept from like elementary school, middle school, high school. And finally I was like, why am I still moving these around? Because, moved a lot. And so I threw them all away. All of them, Kindy. I wish I would have like kept, I would have gone through them and just like, this was a love note. This was one of my ones for my friends. This one we talked about something, this fun thing that we did. Like, I wish I would have gone through and just picked out a few of them, but I didn't.
Yeah.
And there's
Now
a
they're gone.
regret that I have.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever regret getting rid of mine, but with you talking about it, it's like it would be fun to like go through a shoebox of like notes you wrote of high school and like, oh, guess what Tommy did? He looked at me, and, just to like a friend. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it would be fun because okay, anybody who's like young and has cell phones in high school, there would be intricate ways to fold one piece of paper.
Oh, yeah.
To just figure out, and like you're just folding these
We
pieces
all
of
knew
paper.
origami.
Oh yeah.
High
Oh, yeah.
schoolers
There were a lot.
and middle schoolers, you learned origami.
Yep.
And that's how you
Yep.
folded your notes.
Yeah. I still remember the one where it was a square, but like there was like a little tab and you pull the tab. And
Yeah.
then you
Or
kinda
the
can
little
unravel
football.
it.
Or the crane.
Yep.
Did you do any cranes?
I didn't do cranes.
Or the
There were
blow
hearts.
up ball.
Oh, that'd be cool. Just to get it across the room.
Yeah.
If there's downtime in your class. Hey kids, we never did this when we weren't supposed to.
Yes,
Winky
we
face.
were. We were very responsible.
Upstanding students.
There was one class that the teacher was like, no notes. And so me and my friend devised that we would write each other in a notebook. So it looked like we were actually taking class notes. And then we'd just give each other the notebook when we were done writing our note to each other in it. We just exchanged that back and forth.
Nice. Smart. That is clever.
Anyway.
They find ways. Okay, so are you creeped out by graveyards?
I'm not. Never have been. It doesn't faze me.
Yeah. Probably helps that there's no, like, we don't visit it at dark where there's fog. Which
That's
it seems
true.
like that's most of the
don't-
time Lana is at her parents' gravesite in the dark
Why?
with fog.
Yeah,
It's
like, why?
Why are you here right now?
Well,
You should be at home sleeping,
Yeah.
not on your parents' gravesite. So dumb. She's an idiot. She is not an upstanding student. She's probably a slacker because she's trying to look like she can do all these things. Something's fallen apart.
All right. Episode 6.
Yeah.
I called this one Spirit Week.
So this one is, let me get to it. It's called, I don't even know how to say this. Redux or redo?
Either one.
Redux.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a couple of things going on. We got this girl in high school who is actually a really, really old woman, but she like sucks every, couple of years, maybe every year. She has to go around and suck 3 people's lives away into her own self in order to stay young. And so she like, signs up to a different high school and gets her victims and but also at the same time, Martha and Jonathan, the Kents, are having money problems. So Martha asks her father for help, but he hasn't been a part of their lives at all ever since they got Clark, because sometimes Martha and her dad would fight, and she's like, I don't know if like vindictively he would have told your secret or done something to you. And so we just never told him. And then because we never told him, we just haven't had him around because that would be mean to him. So, and then Lana has this mystery she found photographs of her mom with this man, but it was during the time that her and her dad were still together, but they were separated for a year. So there's the summary. Okay, so one quick side note, because every once in a while I like to keep tallies. And one of the times I was watching the show and Kyle was in the room. He's like, this song has come on a lot during this show. And so this time I kept track. The song Be Aggressive, like sung by cheerleaders. Be aggressive. Be aggressive. And then, they spell it out.
Yeah.
It is in the show 3 separate times.
Dang.
Yeah, maybe. And what's funny is they do it when she's sucking somebody's soul, and she does it 3 times. So,
well, she's being aggressive.
Yeah.
I thought it was so weird that Clark would first initially call his grandpa Granddad. I thought that was the weirdest thing, and I just want to know who out there calls their grandpa Granddad. Like, I don't know why, but in this show, I was like, that sounds so weird. Why is that weird? And why does that bug me? I don't know, but.
Well, maybe some people use it. Maybe it's an Eastern thing. Here in South Carolina, they call him Papa and Meemaw.
Papa.
Yeah. Okay, so I had a question, because at one point when Lana is talking to Lex about, this picture she found, she's like, I don't know, should I find out about him? And like, what should I do? And Lex kind of gives her this story of Pandora. And he's like, Pandora was given this box and she opened it and could never get all the stuff back in again. He's like, this could be the situation that happens if you dig into this. And so have you ever had a Pandora's box situation?
My initial thought was yes, practically my whole life. I'd always find out things about my mom and my dad and how things were, I thought were one way, and then found out they were actually another way. And it was kind of reversed, because the first way was awful and not great, but then how it actually was not as bad as it was told to me initially. But something more recently, I guess, I was having a conversation with someone, and instead of veering in a different direction like I should have, I don't know. Looking back, I wish I had veered in a different direction, but at the same time, I didn't know what conversation, like which direction it was going to go. And it's kind of like hindsight is 2020. I should have changed the subject, but I didn't. And then I found out something that I wish I hadn't, and I can't get it back in the box.
You can't unfind that out. Yeah.
I can't unfind it out. So yes, but I can't give specifics, but yeah. And it's awful. It's hard. That box is terrible. I hate Pandora's box. What about you?
Mine's gonna sound really vague as well, because it's about, I can't release details. It's not my story to tell, but the person I learned something about changed my view of other people. And it wasn't that I know these other people like directly, but it was something that now that I know that about them, I don't know how I can ever feel good about that person, and the person that it happened to, it was awful. And I don't know, it sounds really vague, but I had that situation, and Pandora's boxes suck. And you're right, you can't unhear what you heard, and just leave Pandora's boxes alone.
Yeah. There's been a lot. One I can talk about is where this has always been something that I thought was interesting, where at some point my mom had said that my father my grandparents were going on a trip. So his mom and dad, they were going on a trip and they were leaving. And as they were leaving, he had gotten injured or he fell over or something like that. And they were all laughing at him. And for him, that was very scarring. But according to his siblings and his mom, it was actually something totally different where he was intentionally getting everybody to laugh, and he was laughing as well, where he was just being a goof as they were leaving. And so something I've always wanted to do actually is open Pandora's box and find out more about my father, of like friends that he's had and coworkers and family members, of like what they remember. And so I've often wanted to just kind of do that, but I never did. And I guess the Pandora's box in that situation is that I have procrastinated opening it up, I guess, but it's the reverse Pandora's box where it's like good things that I want let out, like not good information, because I'm sure, his life was hard, and anybody's life comes with trials, but I doubt anybody remembers those, looking back on someone's life. But I wanted to like go back and find out more about him and who he was as a person. But
right.
Anyway, never had.
Mm-hmm. So another question I had, has pride ever gotten in the way of asking for help? And there's been times where I've needed help, and I never thought of it as pride, more of like, I can do that, like self-sufficiency.
Yeah.
But just this last like couple of months, my life's gotten kind of busy, and it isn't that I can't accomplish all the things, because I can, It's that self-sufficiency again. Like, I can do it. Mm-hmm. I don't need to ask for help. But can I do it to the best that it needs to be done? And so one of my counselors in Young Women is going on vacation. And she's the one in charge of the lesson for this month, and asked if I would cover for her. But I had just taught, so I called another one of my leaders, and I was like, can you teach? And she was like, yes. And I was like, great. I didn't need to do it, and I don't need to stress out about it. And there's just so many things that I've just agreed to lately. And I'm like, why do I keep saying I can do these things? Like, when am I going to find the time to... The lady that does the music asked me to play my flute for one of the songs. I haven't played my flute since high school. I haven't performed. Okay. Like, it's not a thing. I mean, I perform for my family for Christmas songs, but that's it. Anyway, so I haven't played forever. And I was like, yeah, I can do it. I'm like, I need to practice so hard. Because the music she gave me is for a violin. And while we read the same notes, you play a violin different than you play a flute. And some of the notes are too low for a flute.
Okay. So you just have to change where you hit your note?
Yes, exactly. So I gotta skip this part and just play this note instead, or go an octave up, or, and so it's just been something else I took on. And on top of like, and now I got to do another lesson. And because I'm still a Sunday school teacher, so I'm doing those lessons.
Oh my gosh.
And
Emmeline.
And we have girls camp coming up, and the leader that was going to go from our ward for girls camp can't go anymore. And so they're like, do you know of somebody in your ward that could take her place? And when I found out I couldn't go to girls camp, I was so sad. And then this opportunity opened that now I can go to girls camp. And I was like, yes, I want to go. And so I'm going to be going to girls camp, which I'm so excited for. But that's another thing I got to prep for, because, they were like, these are your responsibilities and everything. And do you have anything that you could contribute to girls camp? And I said, I would actually really love to do like show the girls the stars and do like an astronomy thing. And they're like, oh,
cool.
that would be so cool. I'm like, I can bring my telescope and we can, I can talk about stars and stuff. But now I got to prep for that. And it's just like, I keep giving myself extra stuff. And maybe that's my Pandora's box.
Yeah. You got to stop volunteering for things.
Or agreeing to them. Yeah.
Yeah.
So busy. Anyway.
Yeah. Super busy.
So it's important to ask for help when you need it. Don't take everything on. Don't wear yourself out.
Yeah. Don't do that. All right. Should we talk about the next?
Yes. So I called this one Psycho Lady.
Close. It's called Lineage. This is episode 7.
Okay, you want to give the very quick
synopsis?
Yeah.
Okay, I can't remember everything else that's going on. You're really good at that. But this episode is about a lady that approaches Clark, freaking bamboozles him at school, and says, "Hey, I'm your biological mother. I want to get to know you." And so it's the whole episode of her trying to convince everybody that she is Clark's mom. Clark knows for a fact. At first, I was like, well, you don't know that. Maybe she can fly. No, she's just this crazy lady. So she is, in fact, not actually, did have an affair with Lionel and had a kid, and then Lionel had an affair with Lionel and had a kid with him. So Lex has a half brother that is still alive, but
at least
Lionel
we think
told,
so.
Yeah, but Lionel told Lex that he died after a year of life. So, which
Liar.
To me, it's like, your father. Why don't you research and look that up? Like, why are you just like, okay, he's dead, enough said? It's like, because the whole episode, Lex seems super excited that he has a sibling and that Clark is it, because the lady talks to Lex at some point and says, if Clark is your brother and I had the affair with Lionel, you know what that means. Anyway, so what else is happening? Something with Lana, I'm sure. Something stupid and annoying.
She went
She
dad.
finds out. Yep, she goes to the mystery man and finds out that he could possibly, because he was dating her mom while her and her dad were separated. While her mom and her dad were separated, so this guy could potentially be her father.
Yes.
So she bamboozles him at his house and says, "Hey, guess what? I might be your daughter, or I'm your daughter, whatever." I think she says, "I'm your daughter."
Yep.
I don't think she says, "I might be your daughter." She says, "I'm your daughter."
Yep.
Anyway, yeah. What else is happening?
I think that's
it.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh yeah, and Chloe had gone behind Clark's back and was emailing the reason why this lady says, "Hey, I'm your mom," because Chloe was emailing her about Clark. Because, back in the episode where she was doing a research paper on Clark, she found the place that he was adopted out of, and they only did one adoption, and it was Clark. So anyway.
So I have a question that has to do with like Chloe. Clark found out that Chloe was emailing this lady about Clark. And come to find out, Clark had gone on Chloe's computer and read through her emails. Like, why did Clark think that was okay to just read her emails?
So do two wrongs make a right.
Ah.
Chloe didn't drop it like Clark had asked her to back in that episode. Yeah, they got mad at each other. They had it out.
They had a fight. And then Chloe cried about it. Good actress tears right there.
Oh my gosh, she's so good. I don't know why she thought she needed acting help. She didn't. She got caught up, but yeah.
Oh, and going back to like how Lana bamboozled her potential dad. Clark was up in the loft and Lana came to visit him and they're kind of talking about it. And Clark was telling her about how, Mrs. John
Crazy
Levy,
lady.
yeah, the psycho lady,
I can't
came
remember.
at school and just like ambushed him and told him that she was his mom. And he's like, "Who does that?" And Lana kind of like raises her hand. I thought that it was so good. Like,
that was good.
it was good. I love how she did that. Like,
Yeah.
and I liked throughout it how they had that backstory of the Kents and the Luthers. They kind of like took up from the very first episode in season 1, how, they found Clark in the field and how they took Clark home. They found Lionel, helped him rescue Lex from the field, and the Luthers and the Kents were driving out of the wreckage, and Lionel comes up to Jonathan Kent, and is like, you saved me today. If there's anything I can ever do for you, here's my card. And Jonathan calls him up on that, and it's like, hey, I need to adopt this kid. I need no questions to be asked. And Lionel's like, oh, of course, I can do that for you, but you need to do something for me. So, which I owe you. Like, Lionel was like, I owe you. But I still want something more, too.
From you, yeah.
He's a punk.
Dirty dog.
Yeah. But I did like that backstory, that you kind of got all those flashbacks. That was cool. But you can see why Jonathan doesn't like Lionel at all, and why he always kind of takes it out on Lex, that his dad's this awful guy. You must be that way too. So
right. Yeah.
So how do you feel about the assigning blame thing that so many TV shows do? I don't know if it's just because, like, I've been watching shows kind of like Smallville, like Gilmore Girls, and Lorenzo and I are watching Flash, but they always do this like thing every like episode or two where they're like, it's my fault, it's your fault. Like, they always gotta assign blame to, or take it on themselves, or like, what's the whole deal with all that? Like, you don't need to assign blame. Like, can't you just fix the problem? Like, why does it need to be? I don't know. It bothers me a teensy bit.
Probably because it's too close to reality. Because that's what we do.
Yeah, but it's not something we should do. I mean,
correct.
Like, obviously, you need to take responsibility for your actions, but the guilt, kind of like, a couple episodes ago when we talked about mom guilt, you don't have to weigh yourself down with that. You should fix the problems if you can. You should work on things to become better, but you don't need to just slog around in the guilt. You don't need to slog around in the blame in the show. And it drives me crazy when the characters do it.
Maybe it's part of the process. Because how often do you at night go through that?
Every night.
Every night. Exactly. So why is it not okay for them, but it's okay for you?
Well, they do it dumb in shows. and I don't dwell on it for days on end, which they do in the shows. Like, oh, it's all my fault.
Well, how do you know that it's days on end? It could be one whole day. It could be 1 hour.
Well, throughout several
they're
episodes.
At showing timelines.
Yeah, they are. But it's throughout several episodes where they still blame themselves.
But it's one day. Plus, aren't their blames like pretty big?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. It can still bug you, but I think that's kind of what they're trying to get at. It's just something that's human nature, and maybe it's a plot device to move the story forward. Or maybe it's just a part of human nature that is so ingrained in us that it's in everything.
Huh. I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like it when it turns negative. Like, it needs to stay constructive.
Yeah, but it also affects people negatively. Like the whole fault and blame, it affects people both positively and negatively. And
Right.
I think what bugs you is that they don't turn it to be something positive, into something to learn from that you try and do in your life. It's just, it's there and it just sits there and that's it. Like they
Yeah.
don't do anything with it. And it's like you're missing the other half of
The good
your
part.
problem.
The good part.
Yeah.
And every
The
once in a
good
while they
part
do
where
the good
you
part,
need to learn from it.
but sometimes they just leave the slog.
They don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
Yeah.
Okay. That's it of that one.
Okay. All right. So now we're in episode 8 in season 2. And what did you call this one?
Ryan Part 2.
And it's just called Ryan.
Oh, okay.
So good job.
Yay.
Yay.
So this is my favorite character. Well, one of my favorites in Smallville. And we talked about him last season. He was the kid that could read minds. And he shows back up asking for help. Like he's been trapped in this facility. They're doing experiments on him because people found out that he can read minds. And so they've been just analyzing his brain. Come to find out, the drugs they're giving him are progressing his disease. So it's becoming worse, quicker. And he's dying, they find out, and Clark has to rescue him and then keep him safe. So that's the episode in a nutshell.
Yep. And Lana found out that she's moving.
Ah, yes. And it's a very, very like subplot is that Lex is dealing with the Smallville mayor. So.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, but at the end of the episode, Lana moves in with Chloe, which is a terrible idea.
Okay, so first off, Lana's angry. She's a sophomore, right? So 15 or 16 years old. She's angry that her aunt is moving to Metropolis and she wants to stay with her friends in high school. Okay, that's understandable. Teenagers don't want to move away from their friends. Yeah. I understood. But she says this line, I'm supposed to move with them. Yeah. Lana. You're 15 years old. Yes, you need to move with your aunt who's your guardian. Yeah. Like, this isn't an option. She acts like she had any say in the decision.
Right? Right? It's like she's giving you a courtesy heads up. Guess what is happening? I need you to be on board with this.
Yeah. Now, I understand maybe there's parents out there that, give the kids the option of deciding where they're going to move or if they're going to move. But for me, that's just like
that's a fact of life.
Yeah, like that is not something you get to decide. When you are the one paying the bills and earning the money and taking care of your children, you get to make those decisions, but the time isn't now. Yeah. Anyway, so annoyed at her.
Yeah, no, it was annoying. I felt very entitlement from her, and I was annoyed that Clark was pushing her to not move, and she was looking up emancipation. It's
Nell shouldn't be able to dictate your life. That's what he says, dictate. Yeah. I'm like, yes, she does get to.
Yeah, she's the provider. She is providing a house, food, clothes, a stable environment.
Although it doesn't seem like it because Lana's running her coffee shop and you never see Nell anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. She's very absent. Parental figure. But yeah, that was
But let's get back onto Ryan because he's the best. So Ryan's got a tumor in his brain and the drugs they gave him made it so it's growing really fast. Yeah. And Clark's trying to
find a
save
way to
him.
help him.
because he can save people. Like, that's what he can do. And he's kind of feeling like lost. Like, I can't save him. And so Lex kind of pulls him aside and gives him this advice. He's like, when my mom was dying, I tried everything to save her instead of actually spending time with her. And you should go spend time with Ryan. And Clark doesn't listen to him. He runs off to find this doctor. And anyway,
it's as if the episode gave him both worlds.
It did.
Both scenarios.
It did. Because at the very end, Ryan got a few more days, and then Clark was able to take him up in a hot air balloon.
Yeah.
So they had some nice moments together.
Yeah. So I would like to know, how did you feel about Lana saying Ryan's lucky to be able to pick his family? This was kind of towards the beginning of the episode.
Yeah, that was weird.
I was annoyed. I was like, technically, he didn't. He had all this crap happen to him. His mom, the one person, I can't remember about his dad, but he only has a picture of his mom. So his mom dies. He gets put with his stepdad, who's a complete loser and makes him steal. And then he goes with this aunt who like can't handle his issues. And then he's starting to have headaches and the medical bills. So she can't handle him. So she just ditches him to some doctor that does all the experiments. It's like, this kid has had the worst life ever. Yeah. And that's the part that drives me crazy when people say, oh, they're so lucky because of such and such. Yes. It's like, you have no idea what these people, one, have had to go through, what they're dealing with possibly. Like, yeah, it might look like all green grass and roses, but you don't know what's going on behind closed doors. They could be in an abusive home, like people who are rich. They don't have it easier than people who are poor.
Right. They just have different problems.
They could buy more, but like their problem, they have the same problems. Like they have the same problems. They might be more spoiled in their problems, but they might not be. I was so annoyed. I was so annoyed. So then my other question was, when did your illness really hit you? Like the fact that you had a terminal illness, that you were going to die at a young age. At the time, I mean, the medications thankfully have gotten better. You get to have a long life.
Yes.
But at the time when you were,
younger.
Yeah.
I think
learning about what it was that you've had, like when did it hit you? Be like, okay, like it's sunk in.
I want to say that it was the first time I was at the
hospital.
Were there multiple? And
that
I think that was the first time that I was like, I really am sick. Because that didn't happen until I was like, other than when I was born, which I don't remember. They had to fly me to the emergency, rush me there. Other than that time, I wasn't in the hospital until I was like 8. And I was like, I'm sick. And then I was in and out of the hospital since then. But for me, it didn't terminal, like, I'm going to die from this disease, didn't really hit until I was like mid-teens.
Yeah.
When I really understood, like, it really started, because like kids, death is this like obscure thing.
Yeah.
Like, what is that? That doesn't
like,
mean
whatever.
anything to me.
Yeah.
But when I kind of understood really about what death is, that's when it hit me. That I was like, I'm going to die from this. Like, this is a fact of life. And that's probably when it hit the most, was probably like 15-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it anything vivid, or you just remember?
Going back to playing my flute, I had learned flute and I was playing flute. It got to the point where I would be playing in concerts and have to stop playing to cough. Like I couldn't actually get through a song or whatever. And then I was like, I'm distracting from the song because I'm sitting here coughing. And, when you're a teenager, everybody's looking at you. So all the eyes are on me, and I'm pulling away from the performance, and I felt really bad about it.
Yeah.
And that's when I switched to doing percussion instead, because that one I didn't need to use my lungs for.
Yeah.
So I think that's when it was. When I was in the middle of a concert, just coughing, and I'm like, this cystic fibrosis is having a bad impact on my life. So that's, I think, really when it hit me.
Yeah.
When I had to alter things. Whenever I had to alter from the norm, I guess, is when it would hit me harder. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I had a question, kind of going back to like Lana moving and stuff. She made a comment that she felt like luggage being hauled around by her Aunt Nell. And I moved a lot, but I had this question for you. When moving, did you ever feel like luggage?
No.
No, me either. Like
I was
that,
a human
and
being.
I moved a lot, guys.
Yeah.
Did
you ever feel that way?
I never felt like luggage. I was like, well, we're moving again. Guess I'll make some friends somewhere else. Like, that was just how it was.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Too feelingy.
Right. It probably made a lot of teenagers be like, yeah, I can't dictate my life. I'm not going to move. I'm going to show my parents. There's probably a lot more rebellion than anyone moving around that time that came out.
I had a couple like really fun Lex things.
Mm-hmm.
Lex and Ryan were talking, and he was like, Ryan, real life is not a comic book. And I was like, they're living like a comic book.
Right.
It made me giggle, but he also said, when he was talking to Ryan about the comic book characters, Devilicus was the bad guy in the comic book they were talking about. And he's like, in life, Lex says this, in life, the road to darkness is a journey, not a light switch. And then Ryan's like, you should remember that, Lex.
That was really good. I loved that. That was good.
It was.
Unfortunately, he doesn't.
Nope. It was
it
was a journey
away.
And you gotta kind of watch Lex's journey
Yeah, you really do.
To darkness as the show progresses.
Yeah, which I'm glad they call it Smallville instead of Superman, or because I almost feel like it's the journey with Superman and
Lex
Lex,
Luthor,
and like kind of how they play and feed off of each other, and how it's like their journey, and how Lex becomes Lex
the
Luthor.
Villain, and Clark the superhero
becomes the hero. Yeah, it's really cool.
It is.
My eye roll moment was mostly Nocturne about Brian, the Jekyll and Hyde episode, but the real oh my gosh was when he started saying poetry to Lana.
You're like, I can't handle it.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
So here's my Superman reference quote that I really liked. Martha shouts up to Clark to come down, like he's gonna be late for school. And then he rushes down the stairs, and she's like, how can you be as fast as lightning and as slow as molasses at the same time?
Yeah. That one's good.
And then he does this cool thing, like making toast with his eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was cool.
That was good.
All right, next episode. Yep, you guessed it. It's Smallville. We're going to be talking about season 2, episodes 9 through 12. We would love to hear from you. We post a question on our Facebook page along with pictures from the episode, so you'll get to see the stained glass window if you want to look at that. You can reach out to us there on Facebook or our email. There are links to both of those on our website, and they are listed in the show notes.
Help us grow by telling others about us. Share something you learned with them, like how we just love to talk about the things we acquired when we got married. It's so fun. We would like to thank Red Productions for the music and Jonica for the logo, and our listeners. We are grateful that you're here and that you enjoy the same things we do, and hopefully you enjoy us prattling on about random things. We appreciate you.
Doodle pip. We have a movie night every Monday night after family home evening. Sweet. And I chose The Princess Bride. But I kind of was sneaky and like put it in the DVD player without anybody seeing. And it pops up and it says, you know, Princess Bride across the screen. And Clark was like, is this a kissing movie? And if you know Princess Bride at all, one of the lines that the grandson says to his grandpa is this a kissing book?
Yeah. I think he said story, but yeah. It's perfect.
Oh, and then these three bad guys have Princess Buttercup. And they're in the boat. And, you know, he said the word inconceivable a few times. And Clark turns to me and he's like, he keeps saying that word. I don't think he knows what it means. And then, like, 2 beats later, I swear, you know, Inigo Montoya's like, you keep using that word. I do not think it means what you think it means. And I was like, oh my gosh, Clark, you should write a movie. It was crazy.
That is awesome. Twice. He did it twice.